On a lot of the big prepper sites, you see them mentioning the importance of stockpiling items for barter in an SHTF situation. And they'll tell you things to stockpile, like antibiotics, medical supplies, ammo, of course extra food, feminine hygiene products, cigarettes, alcohol, a lot of different items. Now, I understand why they are saying what they say, but personally, I think stockpiling items to barter in an SHTF situation is rather ludicrous. And I believe that for 4 reasons. First off, let me say I am not against bartering. I think it's a great way to do business in today's world. You know, if you know the value of something you have, you know the value of something you want, and you're willing to trade, I think that is great. But I'm here to tell you that I believe that practice would be difficult and dangerous in a true SHTF situation. Now let me explain. I believe you can't predict what the SHTF event will be. You know, for most of these scenarios, I think it's kind of like Mad Max, right? Rule without law and survival of the fittest. But that could be the SHTF event. It could be a bad hurricane. Could be a short-term economic collapse. Could be that you lose your job. All different kinds of things can create an SHTF situation. And stockpiling items that you think might be helpful for others, I think it's rather hard to predict what items others will need. Now, a lot of this is based on what happened in Bosnia, and a gentleman, his last name is Selko, and what he says happened with bartering. And I'm sure that did happen, that people bartered back and forth. But as I go into my other reasons for not considering stockpiling barter items, you'll understand where I'm coming from. Also, that part about Bosnia, you know, when they had their SHTF event, it was more localized. It wasn't the entire globe. You know, if the U.S. economy collapsed, it would be drastic for the entire world, not just U.S. And there wouldn't necessarily be suppliers still supplying various areas. It would be much different than the economic collapse of one country or war in one country. 2, I think it could be very, very difficult. Most people envision, I think, a central market the way it was portrayed in Patriots, you know, where you can go to a safe place to trade items. But there's no saying that someone doesn't covertly re-step your steps and find where you actually live. And if you're willing to part with something, you might have more of that something. So I think it could be dangerous. I also think it would be very dangerous for trading with anybody you really don't know or can trust. And trust changes. You know, people become desperate in SHTF situations. And can you really trust somebody to make a trade and not want more of what you have in excess? I don't know. You know, in a short-term SHTF situation, sure. I think in a hurricane like Katrina or Sandy, people were willing to give away food and items to help their neighbors or barter, you know, for gas or those items. I think that's fine because you do know that this is short-term. You know it's not going to last for years, and you may only have to rely on your preps. If it has value to someone else, it may have value to you. And maybe it doesn't have value to you right now, but if an SHTF situation would last long-term, it may down the road. So why are you giving something away? Well, it must be something you really, really need or value. Otherwise, it does not make sense at all to leave your home and barter because it could be very, very unsafe. taken point antibiotics. Okay, maybe you've got plenty of them saved up. But what if something lasts longer? You or one of your family members might need them. So why would you barter them? The same with ammo. Why would you give away ammo? Especially with the idea that you're arming someone to come back in and take your goods from you. And we can go through that with food and various other resources. You know, alcohol. If somebody values alcohol so much to trade something else, you got to be concerned if they want more alcohol. Will they come to your house to get it? Those are points to consider. The big thing, I think, is we all have finite money to spend on prepping supplies. Why, instead of buying items to stockpile for bartering, aren't you looking at where you need more prepping supplies for you or your family? Maybe it's in food, in water storage, in medical supplies, in ammo, whatever. Why not fully equip yourself for whatever might happen in the future? Be prepared and you won't have to barter. Now back to number one, not knowing what kind of SHTF situation it is the problem too. Is your barter items at your house? Are you going to take off and hoof it with your bug out bag? Are they at your retreat and you won't even be able to get to your retreat depending on the SHTF situation? You know, there's a lot of things to consider. So to me, it is riskier putting your hard-earned money into something you possibly need to barter in the future. Now, one of the things people talk about is gold and silver, you know, precious metals. Again, in the beginning of any SHTF event, it could have for a very short-term value, and then way in the future when things are becoming much more established, they might have value again. But in the meantime, they won't. Pretty heavy to carry with you, and a lot of people wouldn't know the value of gold and silver. And whenever an SHTF event has happened in certain countries, the value of gold and silver diminish because the price of goods really increase. So again, I don't think that's the best item, and certainly not a barter item. Now, skills. It's always good to work on your skills. So if you want to spend some money to acquire a new skill, that's a fantastic use. And you know, if you have a skill in the medical profession, that might be great for bartering your skills in an SHTF situation. Or even mechanical, carpentry. I mean, there's a lot of various things that you could have as a skill. But even then, bartering your skills could be dangerous. So, in my humble opinion, I believe that instead of spending your money on purchasing items that you might someday barter, instead buy extra supplies that your family might need in the future. Because if you're truly a prepper, you got your bases covered, hopefully. You won't need to barter for extra items. You know, when they give examples of these countries, be it Argentina or Bosnia, these are not preppers that are doing a lot of the bartering. These are people that haven't prepped for what could happen in the future. And if you're watching this, you probably are a prepper. So my bottom line is, do not spend your money on stockpiling items that maybe will become valuable in the future. So I'd love to know, are you stockpiling items for barter? Please comment below. What are you stockpiling? Why do you think that will be of value? And what made your decision to stockpile barter items to begin with? I'd love to hear people's thoughts on that. And, you know, this is only my opinion. As always, thank you so much for watching my videos, subscribing to my channels. Please share the knowledge, thumbs up if you like this video, and click that little bell below if you want to receive future notifications. Thank you.